Our theme for the month of January is Centers for Spiritual Living's global vision, which is a world that works for everyone. A world that works for everyone. And the title of this evening's talk is We Envision a World That Works for Everyone and for all of creation. Now, remembering that the creator of all, the sustainer of all, the supporter of all, the giver to all, the all-powerful, and the all-in-all is God, Allah, Buddha, or whatever name resonates with you. And this power is in back of all, is through all, and is all. This power, this energy, it's abundant. It's love, it's joy, it's creative intelligence, it's compassion, it's wisdom, it's peace, it's creativity, it's balance, it's harmony, and I can go on and on. The true nature of the divine, the true nature of this energy. That's what that is. God is abundant. The universe is abundant. There is no lack with the divine. There is nothing missing with the divine. There is plenty of everything that is necessary to feed, to water, to educate, to nurture, and care for everyone and everything. Now, as spiritual beings, we are one with the divine. We are inseparable from the divine. And our only problem is not of scarcity, of substance. It's a limited consciousness. Now, this being the case, it's a limited consciousness. I feel it would be helpful to know what limits our consciousness. I think one of the big limitations to our consciousness is when we take the world view rather than the spiritual view. It's getting wrapped up in the outside world, the world as it might appear from what we see through our eyes, rather than living and perceiving what we see from inside, what we see from our spiritual world. All based on our spiritual principles. Our spiritual principles that are changeless, irregardless of the appearance we see in the world, or we think we see in the world. Because all of us are all of God, inseparable from the Creator, one with the divine. All that we need has been provided to us before we came into this vibration. We have the same qualities of God that I mentioned earlier. And these qualities are at the core of our being. The nature of God is our nature. We are the microcosm, that unique, individualized spiritual being and representation of this God, the microcosm. As long as we, as spiritual beings, can embody the fact that we're one with the divine and that the divine is the supplier, source, and giver of all, once we can embody that, our consciousness raises higher and higher and becomes less limited. Because when we embody who we are and walk in the I am consciousness, there is absolutely, and I'm going to say that again, there is absolutely nothing that is missing. There is nothing that we lack. We have been giving all that we need, and this has been given before we have arrived here. And as religious scientists, we believe this, which I quote from our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, which comes from the Science of Mind Declaration of Principles. Quote, "We believe the ultimate goal of life is the complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that it is sure to be attained by all. End of quote. I will, yes. We believe the ultimate goal of life is the complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that it is sure to be attained by all. Okay? So how do we become emancipated from all the discord of every nature? I'll tell you.
Realize everything is good.
Yeah. But here's some help. I say we go into our Science of Mind toolbox and utilize what might be in there. Now, for some of you who might be new, you might not have heard of our Science of Mind toolbox, but it's very dear to me because I've been growing mine since our studies since 2002. But it would benefit each one of us to put together our toolbox that would include a list of spiritual practices that resonate with us in relation to keeping our alignment with God, our higher power, that would help us keep centered with the divine and with our true nature. Here are the tools that I've put in my Science of Mind toolbox. Daily practices that include meditation, contemplation, prayer, spiritual mind treatment, which is our form of prayer, journaling, visioning, spirit writing, practices of being rather than doing, taking time to listen to the guidance that I receive from the divine, reading the Science of Mind magazine daily's writings, reading the 365 Days of Richer Living, reading creative ideas, reading the daily word, writing affirmations and saying them out loud, and stopping and pausing multiple times in a day to breathe in different short phrases that resonate with me. These practices have so helped me become free of any discord that I might see or perceived, or I thought that I perceived in the world. It's so important to have in your toolbox these tools, especially the ones that resonate with you, because it's through our daily practice that we stay connected, that we stay, or we have that line, that direct alignment with Spirit. Each and every one of us, because of who we are, one with the divine, children of the divine, it is our birthright to experience the freedom from any discord and to experience all the magnificence that life has to offer. So by doing your spiritual practices, it does keep you in alignment with the divine and centered in the truth of our own nature. Also, by doing these daily spiritual practices, I believe it helps you. It helps you from feeling that sense of separation from the divine. Because when we truly believe and embody that we are one with the divine and walk with that consciousness that it is God that is backing us, when you can do that, everything falls into place. You know? Having God have my back, so to speak. Who better could I have to have my back? When each of us can walk this earth and is able to see the good in someone else, to see the good in all that they meet, having this consciousness and attitude, I feel, is a major way that helps raising the overall consciousness of all of humanity, which helps promote a world that works for everyone and for all creation. Now, I'm pretty sure that most of you, if not all, have heard the word, and might have even used this word in your daily experience, namaste. How many of you have used that? Namaste, okay? Good. And what that means, it is the God in me sees the God in you. The God in me sees the God in you. The good in me sees the good in you. It's a powerful word, namaste. A word, when shared, I feel is such a lifter of consciousness, which plays into the world, a world that works for everyone. When we fully realize, when we fully know, when we fully understand and fully embody that each and every one of us experiencing this vibration that we call life, is a child of the divine, are one with the divine and one with each other, even the ones that push our buttons, even the ones that push our buttons. We are one with even them, even the ones who unfortunately might be experiencing a huge sense of separation and act out in ways that we would not consider to be in alignment with God. And when we can walk in our spiritual truth and know that everyone is doing the best they can at the time with what they had to work with, I know and I feel from the depths of my being that there will be more harmony, more peace, and understanding in the world. Does it make sense of what I'm saying? Can you relate to that in any way? Good. And here's another thing. When people let go of judgment, when people let go of controlling others, and when people realize that the only things that they are in charge of or in control of are the things within themselves, I think people will be more happy, will be more peaceful, and be more living a harmonious existence here in this vibration. It's been stated that if you want love, you must be love. If you want peace, you must start being peace. If you want friendship, you must start being a friend. We all must be the change that we want to see first. It all starts within each and every one of us. It's what I call an inside job, an inside job. Now, when more and more people can express the nature of the divine and live this nature, all of humanity will experience a lifting up of consciousness, again, as I said, which aids in everyone experiencing that world that works for everyone. Now, I realize that it's not always easy. That's not always easy, to not get caught up in the outer world of happenings. Of all things one feels he or she might need to do in a day, and getting out of alignment with the divine and beginning to feel a sense of separation for the divine because of all of the different things that pull at us during the day. So one thing to remember when you might be experiencing feelings like that, please remember that we're never ever separate from the divine. God goes nowhere. It is us who lose the awareness of God at times and all that God does for each and every one of us. So we're the ones who kind of take a little side trip. God is always there, backing us for eternity. How could we ever be separate from God, the Creator? Because we're all one of the Creator's creations. And God sustains all of its creations eternally. Pay attention to those words. If you try to understand them and take them within, your life will become so harmonious. And really, each and every one is needed to live a harmonious life, to collectively raise the consciousness of this magnificent world that we live in. Now, getting back to the topic of tonight's talk, a world that works for everyone and for all of creation, remember this. We don't need to know how. We only need to know that it will occur. I'm going to repeat that. Concerning a world that works for everyone, We really don't need to know the how, but we need to know and believe is that it will occur. One needs faith in relation to the workings of the creative process. One needs faith concerning our Creator, the giver and sustainer of all. We must have the intelligence to know the difference and the faith to know it must occur. To me, it's like letting go and letting God. Letting go, letting the divine. Letting go, letting spirit. Getting out of the way to let God do its work. I have to get out of the way. We need to know that what. We need to know the what. And the how is up to the divine. And again, having faith at times can be a challenge when things on the outside seem not to be looking so bright. Do you agree with that? When your day is going not the way you want it and things aren't looking so rosy, it's kind of tough to have faith. But having faith knowing that things always reach their good, always reach their good at the time it is supposed to happen in divine right timing, I feel will help one to stay faith-filled, to feel faith-filled. I want to share this story about me and faith. It was last year during this time when both Reverend G and I were preparing to take those infamous 6 final senior exams for us to graduate the Home Institute and become ministers. We had to pass each one of these exams in order to graduate. They were like 2.5 hours long. Well, for me, it was months and months of studying. Loads of information I needed to retain and to recall for each exam. And I'll tell you, at one point, the outer world had the appearance of being very overwhelming for me. And I remember that time that I just surrendered, really, and said, I need to let go of this and let God do its work through me. I really felt I did all that I could to be prepared, and now the rest was up to God. I did my part and knew that Spirit was going to do its part in relation to me getting down all of the stuff I needed to get down to successfully complete those exams. Now, I have to tell you, as soon as that became part of my consciousness, having that faith, it seemed like everything flowed out of me for all that I needed to know on each exam. And those were comprehensive exams from the beginning that we entered the Holmes Institute. So it wasn't like a one-semester exam. It went back for years, okay? I'm glad I'm not doing that this year. It's been a great winter so far, because right now we'd be in the depths of that of the taking those exams. So it's only us who limit our consciousness. It is only us who put those chains, those shackles of limitation on ourselves. Because it is the bottom line, I feel, our lack of faith and also being out of alignment with the divine. I think that's the bottom line for our limitation. The more and more we are in line with the divine, the more and more magnificent we will experience in the life, in our life, thus creating a world that works for everyone and all of creation.
And so it's really exciting what we're doing here, because we're joining with many other centers who are doing the same message, but each one is individualizing it. So it's very exciting. Online, there was actually Dr. Ken had a 10-minute piece that explained all the pieces that are going on and who created the basic idea. and then they gave us bullet points, and then we came out with our expression of it. So I'm very excited about this, because what we're going to be doing is not just this idea of a world that works for everyone. That's only the beginning of the vision, of the global vision of the organization. But throughout the next 12 months, we're going to be going through each and every part of that vision that they have of attaining a world that works for everyone. So as we look at this idea of envisioning a world that works for everyone in all creation, let's talk about the difference between goals and vision. I think it's important that we talk about these two differences here. So what is a goal? Anybody, what is a goal?
Something you set.
Right, so it's like a measurable thing that gets you to an ultimate desire, right? So we have objectives and a desire. We have an objective or desire that we want to reach. We have measurable steps to get there. We have a fixed time frame many times, right? Because our goal is usually a fixed time frame. I got to do this by such and such a date. I've got to get there by a certain time. Okay? So there's a known pathway to obtain it. Now, to envision is different. And it's so how do I envision a world that works for all and all creation? How do I do that? How does that work for me? How do I make that happen? It's a big question, and it can feel overwhelming. And many people in our teaching, when they first came out with this global vision, said, "What, are you crazy? A world that works for everyone? We're just trying to hold our communities together here." So they were overwhelmed by this idea. But the thing to remember is when we talk about a world that works for everyone, it's already working for everyone. It's just not maybe working the best for everyone. Because the universe is always accepting whatever we're impressing into it, and it's bringing that back to us. It is the law of attraction. It's all of those things going on. So it's always working for us. Our idea is to envision a world that works for everyone in a better way, to reveal our spiritual magnificence. So when we talk about this idea, we talk about the things that are a part of being envisioning or holding a vision. There is an unknown demanding we maintain belief. Because even though we have an idea of what it is, it's really not fully known to us until it's expressed, right? And it's trusting in a process or order. As Reverend Ed said before, the creative process, the law, as we like to call it in the science of mind, we plant our seeds of desire into the law, and we trust that the law is making that happen, because the law is the doer of what it is that we're putting into it. So this creative process. And then we bring about demonstration, manifestation, or effect, or experience. Because as we hold to that vision, we're holding that in a place where the universe can then say, because I'm drawing the energy to what I desire, the universe will want to fill that with whatever it takes to feel and know that experience. It's similar to our spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer that we do here. The scientific prayer that Ernest Holmes created, that we still continue within our organization of over 400 centers to continue to work on and help us to create our own personal desires and expressions. So what happens when we stand together in a vision which harms no one and serves all? Let me say that one more time. What happens when we stand together in a vision which harms no one and serves all? What does that sound like? What does that feel like? It's powerful. That's what this idea is talking about, a world that works for everyone.
It's very powerful because when you really feel that, everything drops away.
Yes.
Except for our oneness.
Right. Right, all of our human superficiality falls away when we can be in that place. And that's good when we can do that. And how do we get there? Thank you. Yes.
toolbox.
And the Science of Mind toolbox of all of the wonderful spiritual practices.
Freedom. Gives me freedom hearing that what you just said about.
Yeah, it's giving you the freedom. So we must maintain this vision and know the creative process is making it a reality with our faith. Now, faith is working like a magnet. I always think of those wrecking yards and those gigantic magnets that they drop down into all of that metal and they pull it up and there's all this stuff stuck to it. And then it moves over something and then somehow they turn the charge off and boom, everything drops off of it. Well, that's what the law is doing. That's what the creative process is doing. It's attracting to us all the things that we need. So, like Reverend Ed said, we need to know only the what and be open to how the universe is providing the how. Because the universe is bringing that into us, is creating that for us and bringing it through us and as us. So we have to be open to that. And this is vision. This is what vision is. So using the spiritual practices, again, that Reverend Ed spoke of, we're able to dissipate everything that is unlike the perfect vision we hold. Because is life always giving us exactly what we want? Is there always something out there that's kind of giving us the opportunity to use our spiritual practices? Like all the time. Turn on the TV, right? And there's always something out there that's ready to go ahead and remind you that, it may not be a world that's working for everyone, right? But what do I have to do in that situation? I have to see that, but then I have to acknowledge it because it is real. It's an experience that is being had. But I have to then do my spiritual practices to get back into that alignment that Reverend Ed spoke of with my universal source, with the absolute, with the Mother, Father, God, as I like to call it. So as we get into this place of holding that perfect vision, is this true of our health? If I hold a perfect vision for my health, is it true of that? Right, it is true. Is it true of wealth, well-being, financial income? Right, it is. Is it true of my creative expression? Is it true of my loving relationships? Right, it's all those things. And it's happening within that. So that vision that I'm holding for myself is also holding that vision for the world. Because as I center myself, that makes me show up in a more radiant way to the world. And I don't want to show up anything less than that. However, the world has a way of pushing us into those places or taking us into those places where we may not want to be. But that's all right. I always like to say, when we get into this teaching, we love ourselves through the whole process because there's always going to be opportunities for us to be angry at ourselves. And there's no need for that because we all are showing up as best we can with wherever we are on our journey. And here, we bump into each other spiritually so that we can soften our sharp edges. That's what I like to say. That's what a spiritual community is about. So if it is working for me and harming no one, then what is that doing for everything around me? It's bringing that vibration up, right? Like Reverend Ed said, it's bringing that vibration up. If I'm bringing that vibration up, is that not expressing out further and further and further? Because each individual that I come in contact with is then touched by what my vision may be, and that vision moves into them and they move out into the world. So it's like the ripple in the pond. And I love that idea. I love that vision of the ripple in the pond, the pebble that causes all the ripples. So I remember a time when if someone said to me, I believe in a world that works for everyone, I would have said, what drug are you on? Are you nuts? Now, I know none of you have ever been there, but that's where I was several years ago. I thought, are you kidding? But where was I? I was in the world of effect. I believed that all the effects out there were the truth, and I'd forgotten that the truth is here, and that I have the ability to create new effects out from this center by doing these spiritual practices. But now I understand that the drug we're talking about, the drug that I thought they were taking at the time, is really just God, or the divine mind, creative intelligence, whatever name resonates with you, that's all it is. That's the drug. And that's the drug I want to be on, because that's the drug that's going to help me to hold this vision. So it's stated in the philosophy of Ernest Holmes, by Ernest Holmes and George P. Banal, that the transformation takes place here. You don't have to wonder if it will take place. The world will come when enough of us see through the night into the celestial light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. It's powerful. Ernest Holmes had this vision long before our organization came to it now. This was his vision back then. In his work, it's amazing how it all ties so many things together and helps to make life something that works for me. And if it works for me, then I know that as these tools are taught to others and brought to others, that it allows others to grow and to do that. So what does that do? That creates a world that works for everyone. So it keeps rippling out. So we do not need to change our brother or sister's mind. Because have you ever tried that? Yeah, it doesn't work too good. I gave up on my brother years ago. But that doesn't mean that I can't see my brother as better. In my mind's eye, I can see my brother at a higher level of consciousness. What does that do? Again, it creates this vision. It brings forward this idea of a world that works for everyone. So we know we can't change our brother, our sister, or whatever that comes into our life, of the people who come into our life, because we have no power over that. The only power we have is within. And Reverend had mentioned this before. The only thing we have is within us. So as we change our mind and envision this idea, a world that works for everyone, we empower others to follow in the light that we become. If I become that light, people are attracted to that. It's like moths to a flame. I mean, when you get around someone who's really happy and joyous, are you not attracted to that? Don't you find yourself wanting to get closer to someone like that? Or if there's a lot of laughter going on in a group, you want to get closer. You want to find out what's going on over there. It's that same thing. When I hold this vision and I am excited about it and I believe it and I know it, I'm creating the energy and I become a light unto the world. I mean, when we get into the old biblical phrases, some of those were overwhelming to me in the day, but now I get it. To become a light to the world means being my true, authentic self and holding a vision of higher and better reality so that I can experience and others can experience. I can send it out into the world and know that it will come back to me. Because it will. It always does. So my call to you is to recognize that the vision we are holding is not something that we are holding alone. We are not the only faith, tradition, or individuals that hold this truth. And it's true. It's true. If you look around, you'll always see it. The fact is that there is a supermajority that sees a world that works for everyone. We may not always hear from them because the news is so loud that it washes away the supermajority. And so if it feels difficult to envision this world, then you know where your work is. If I have trouble seeing this vision, then I know where my work is in my spiritual practices. So I call each of us to do our work to convince ourselves that this vision is possible. As we stand together, what we are doing is molding the spiritual prototype, or as we call it in the science of mind, the mental equivalent. If I hold my mental equivalent, then I'm holding that which the universe can then create on or express through, because I'm attracting that to me. So together, let's create that spiritual prototype, that mental equivalent. This will transform the collective consciousness of the world. Because as we transform ourselves, does it not transform others around us? Have we not seen that in our lives? Have we not felt that at different points? Absolutely. I know each of us has been there at some point where you've seen when you changed how you saw something, it changed others around you. And if you held to that, even though there were others who were like that, you found that over time they moved in. They got closer because they wanted to know, what is that? I always think of the movie When Harry Met Sally, and she does that whole thing at the table, and the lady at the table next door said, I'll have what she's having. I love that. It's like so great, But it's true. I'll have what they're having. I'll have what the people over there who are holding a vision of a world that works for everyone are having. That's what I want to have. So use the spiritual practices of meditation, of visioning, of journaling, of mindfulness, of spiritual mind treatment, which is our form of prayer or affirmative prayer, affirmations, whatever spiritual tool from the Science of Mind toolbox, that's favorite phrase. Use whichever one of those works for you to be able to stay in that place of holding a vision of a world that works for everyone and all creation. Can you and will you do this with me?
Yes.
Then affirm with me, I trust the universe.
I trust the universe.
Let's say it one more time. I trust the universe.